Chico. Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes, man, you just get to where I can't figure this out. Like help me out. I'm trying to understand, dude, what the hell is going on? So that's the name of this partnership. You tell me. You tell me.
Tell me. Hey.
You tell me. 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 Live on Mondays. You tell
That beat is just so damn
live
killer, man.
on Mondays. You tell me. Live on Mondays. You tell me. Live on Mondays.
What it do, family? Hope y'all all good out there, man. As y'all come in to chat on all 3 channels, whether you're watching live on the Pregame Network, whether you're looking live on DukesTheScoop, or with Big Dog Chico running the 3 spots simultaneously. That's a big word for at the same time. It is another episode of You Tell Me. I'm your man, Uncle Neely. Got my man, Philip DukesTheScoop. DukesTheScoop, talk to the people. How is 2025, brother?
Yeah, 2025 couldn't be no better for me. Got some good comedy off of social media already. Got me some good New Year's resolutions so far. We together. You feel me? We doing what we do. We continue to push the culture forward, and it's a lot of exciting football and sports as a whole to talk about, man. So I'm having a great time. How about you, Unc?
Man, same here. You know, sometimes on those New Year's resolutions, you get to about day 6 and be like, okay, I'm gonna start February because you already messed one of them up.
Yeah, I kept it simple this year. I say, man, you know what? I got man. Look, so I was listening to Tony Evans yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Now he always got good game on his podcast. For whatever you're going through, he always got good games. So he was talking about fasting. I got ready to talk about my fast, and I said, "Whoo!" And I had all these great ideas, and I said, "All right, well, you know, the other part of fasting is you can quit it fast too." So I said, "You know what?" so I said,
yes,
what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna start with no juice and no soda, man. That's where I'm at with it.
Hey man, I might get on that with you. I think I got a bottle in the refrigerator. I got to knock out first. Can't waste nothing now. I got a half a lemonade, and let me finish that, and I'll get down with you on that, man. Chat is coming in again, man. Shout out. Go ahead, Deuce. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, you know, like when you drink it, when you drink your calories, man, we carry an extra 5 on us, you know what I mean, just from drinking calories. So I said, man, it might be a good start to the year. Knock an old 5 off of it, man. Put that alcohol down, put that fruit punch and that soda down for a minute. So we're gonna see how we get through there.
Yeah, and then it's wasted calories, and then you still got to eat because you don't get nothing from it.
Yeah, man.
You drink a gallon of sweet tea and still be hungry.
Man, what you talking about, man? I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, but calorie wise, you done had 6 Big Macs.
Right now. You feel me?
Man, when you're coming to the chat, shout us out. Let us know where you're from. Checking in live on DukesTheScoop channel, the Pregame Network, as well as Big Dog Chico. This is our weekly episode of You Tell Me, first one for 2025. Big Dog Chico had some things to take care of health-wise, so we pushed all the content back a day this week. So your calendar is not wrong. It's not Monday. It's Tuesday. But at this time of the year, hell, I don't be knowing what time the day of the week is. But I can tell you this. Today is January 7th. So after we get off, and maybe Duke got another live, after you get done with all our content, make sure you hit up Amazon Prime because season 3 of Coach Prime dropped tonight, and something special was done this year. You don't have to wait week to week for an episode. All the episodes are already uploaded, so you can binge watch them. I knocked out the first 2 today. Well done, put together. So y'all make sure y'all go support Coach Prime and what he's doing with that documentary for season 3 of Coach Prime. Dukes is on you, baby. Hit me with what you got.
Let's go first. You tell me of 2025. I'm going to go with the 2025 draft. And I'm going to ask, you tell me, do the Tennessee Titans present themselves as the best place for Shedeur Sanders with the #1 overall pick? You tell me, is Tennessee the best fit?
Let me go with some positives. Well, let me say this first, because I think I say this every episode, but it's so important for the people to know. You and I do not text each other notes. You and I do not ever say what we're going to ask each other, what the topic is. We never know until we get on here. Until I ask him something or he asks me something, we never know. But I had a roundabout question I'm going to still get with you that's on this subject, because I got to get to it when I answer what you said. Man, I love the state of Tennessee. I love the metropolitan area of Nashville. It's growing, it's thriving. One of the fastest growing areas, economic-wise, quality of life-wise in the nation, particularly for African Americans. So I love it. I love it. I love it. But then I just saw where they fired their black GM.
Yeah.
So my attitude kind of changed slightly. Love that they got the first pick. Love the atmosphere there, the weather there, and how it could fit for Shedeur or Travis. But man, they got rid of the brother that's the general manager. And like one of the things I was going to ask you was about all these 1 year, first year coaches getting fired, and we can still get to that. But Dukes, I just don't know now what the philosophy is with the ownership, because the ownership was permanent. The staff in these organizations change. The staff in these organizations flip. The people in your locker room change. But it's been a long damn time since you've seen a team get sold. So the ownership is what the culture is, of that organization. And so I had to put a finger up like what is really going on in Nashville. So I got to reserve my football answer about Shedeur Travis playing until I know more. But from a location standpoint, Nashville is a great place to live.
Yeah, I would have location wise, I would have to agree. Being somebody who's my entire family's from Franklin, Tennessee, which is outside of Nashville. So I'm very familiar with that area. I got cousins that went to Pearl Cone High School, Glen Cliff. My family from the Nolensville Road area, Little Antioch, Bell Road, all of that. With all that being said, they don't have a Malik Neighbors, and they are great neighbors, but they don't have a neighbors. And I think me personally, with my question being asked, are they the best fit? I don't think they're the best fit. I think they have some holes on their roster in places where, if I'm gonna compare their roster to the Giants, who I think is probably the best fit right now, then I think that the fixable holes on the Giants roster are a lot less than the fixable holes on the Tennessee Titans roster. Now, Travis Hunter fixes 2 of those holes at once for Tennessee. Right? Like if you get Travis Hunter, Tennessee, they need help at wide receiver. I mean, Calvin Ridley was your #1 guy last year, and I think he still has a lot of juice in the tank, but he's better suited in a 2 role, in my opinion, an explosive 2, or maybe even a 1B. But you got to have and we say, with a rookie quarterback, we know Calvin Ridley gonna let you know how he feel every time. So you may want somebody not going to be. And I think he had all the talent in the world, but a kind of a mercurial attitude, so to speak. Defense, they got some nice pieces on defense, right? You love Jeffrey Simmons and what he makes that whole defense go. But overall, I think Travis Hunter helps them a lot. I think they both help, but I think Travis Hunter may be a better fit, and maybe they can go make a trade for a guy like Joe Milton. Maybe they bring in Sam Darnold for a year or 2. But yeah, if it's up to me, I don't think that's the best fit for Shedeur just for his success. But do I think he's totally capable of going in there and helping turning the Tennessee Titans around? I 1,000% do.
Yeah, I like that bottom line assessment as well. And again, when I just speak on the community itself of Nashville, I love the way you address the football part of it. And I think you're right. I think ever since the Raiders, kind of fumbled the first pick and now have fired their coach, who happens to be represented by Smack Entertainment. I think that football wise, for Shador, the Giants, present the best package. But when you look at the couple of weeks where the Patriots were the number one pick and now the Titans are the number one pick, I wouldn't be surprised if Travis becomes the number one pick because he solves a lot of their issues and what he brings to the table because they're more than a quarterback away, from being competitive.
Yeah.
And then you look at some of the other teams like a Jacksonville who has their quarterback. And then you look at a Browns who, again, I say this every time I say it. This ain't something I've heard Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, say. This is just me being around him. I don't see the Browns being in play. I see the Browns being that organization that he texts his good friend Roger Goodell and say, hey, let them folks know, don't pick either one of them because we ain't coming. So that kind of eliminates them from the mix. So it's gonna be interesting. A lot of these people, like you said, got some capital where they can move up because they can trade something. They got something to offer. But I think that Shador is built having had a different offense coordinator for all of his college career, been able to play under duress for most of his career with a suspect offensive line, not really ever had a dominant running game during his collegiate career. I think he's built for adversity, and anybody picking in the top 5, you're going to play under some adversity.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're not going to find that perfect home that you would want for him, especially being someone who wants Shador to be successful and having more of a vested interest in Shador. You're not going to find that perfect home. But, man, sometimes homes become perfect because you look at what the Commanders had last year, right? When you looked at the roster of what they had the previous year, nothing on the Commanders roster jumped out to you and said they would be a playoff team in year one. But when you have a player as dynamic as Daniels is, he did help elevate the entire team. They made some really shrewd moves when they were able to go get a guy like Marshawn Lattimore deep in the season. That's after they had already proven that they had the mettle to be a playoff team. So when you have the confidence of knowing that your quarterback is going to keep you winning games, that can raise the level of play across the board. Washington's run game, they had a young run game. They brought over Austin Eckler. I thought that was a really good move. Wide receiver wise, you had Terry McLaurin. Now you go pick up a guy like Olamide Zaccheaus, who was formerly of the Falcons, who's played the slot in a fantastic way. Zach Ertz. I mean, they had a lot of pieces there. So that was pretty much the perfect storm. So I think right now, when you look at what New York has, especially the offensive line, I saw somebody in the chat. I think Moni said something about this. Do the Giants have an offensive line? They do. They absolutely do. Andrew Thomas is one of the best young offensive linemen in the NFL, and I think that he'll only continue to get better. And when you have that anchor, they got John Runyon Jr. is also a member of that offensive line. We know about John Runyon from all his years playing in the NFL. So I like the fit for the Giants. Now, Cleveland, roster-wise, aren't as far off as some people think. That team has just got off the rails. And that's the scary part about Cleveland is it the powers that be? Is it the off-field staff? Is it the coaching? Because you're looking at a team that was only a year, merely months away or removed from being one of the young and upcoming teams in the NFL. When you look at what Joe Flacco was able to do with that roster last year after the injury to Deshaun Watson, where you look at what they have on defense and you looked at how they built the offensive line out, had a running back like Nick Chubb, who's a little long in the tooth at this point, but Jerome Ford backed them up more than admirably. So when you look at those pieces, you say, do they have enough? And right now, I don't think they do.
Yeah, and my concern with them is just how they manage it. Again, like we were talking about the Titans letting their GM go. Some of these staff people change, I understand that, but these owners don't change. And the way they run things ain't gonna change. And the Browns just perennially find themselves almost there and then hit like a bump in the reset button and go all back to nowhere near there. And so I think going into that situation, one thing I always live by, Dukes, you heard me say it many times. Best indicator of future performance is past performance. When have the Browns ever been there outside of Bernie Kosar? Like you got to go way back, to remember when they really just consistently had something to offer. And so I just think that's kind of like a buyer beware situation that, man, do I really want to work there for 4 years? Because what I would do in that first 4 could actually damage somebody coming to rescue me for my second contract, because I wasn't be able to put my best out there. But to what you said about like Jalen Daniels and the Commanders in DC, man, that kind of stuff works in any organization. Do not get me wrong. I'm good at what I do and I love doing what I do. But you better believe when Phillip Dukes joined the team, I got better. I got to work harder. I got to do more now. You got to believe when I partnered with Big Dog Chico, I got better. I got to do more now because there's somebody else just as capable that's counting on me. And when it's my turn, I don't want to let them down on the effort they just made. And so you can bring in a inspirational, talented guy who inspires people just by the way he plays, and it uplifts the organization. And I don't think there's any better example of that than the rookie quarterback that went from LSU to the Commanders. And you could have that impact with the Shador somewhere, no doubt about it.
For sure. No, I totally agree.
All right. You tell me. I'm gonna flip to college football real quick, and I got a couple on the college football. But you tell me, Dukes. We've always had these blue bloods. We've always had these dominant programs. We've always had these guys that you could just count on in August that they were going to be there in December and January. And I'm talking about the SEC. So you got your Auburn helmet behind you. I got an LSU jersey over there. I get it.
Yeah.
Is the SEC dead, or did the rest of the world just catch up?
Everybody caught up. You remember? All right, so this is why I trained my little boy so hard. He caught one of them growth spurts early, right? And so now he's in 5th grade, and I could have put him out there with a bunch of other 5th graders, and he was gonna look bigger. He was gonna be stronger. Like my son cut up right now, but I know that he caught his growth spurt early. It's not even a question in my mind. So I'm not gonna train him, right, to be around kids that he would dominate. I want him playing with 6th, 7th, 8th graders, right? Because people are going to catch up eventually. And if you only are good when you're better physically, then how good of a football team are you? That's what happened to the SEC. Nobody had caught up yet. They got their growth spurt early. And as everybody starts to catch up, you start to realize, well, in your mind, the SEC was better, so you went into that game, you went into that playoff game thinking, oh, we got to play Georgia. Man, we gotta do this. You're already defeated. We saw Georgia get out physical on a national level. I'm very close with a lot of people at Georgia. That's just the truth. So when people caught up, it's not that the SEC doesn't play good football. It's that now that they're spreading it around. And so now the guys who used to only want to go to the SEC know that I've been to a lot of times guys who've been in the SEC, take a guy like Jaheim Otis. Now, if Alabama plays him the way he should have been playing this year, in the way that, even if the way that Nick Saban played him, he helps that team win, period. They're a better team, but for whatever schematic issue they had, where Jaheim Otis's skill set was not able to be utilized, that was only a positive for a team like Colorado to bring him out there. So in previous years, look at all the SEC talent on Colorado's team right now. Otis, Colton Hood came from Auburn. You go down the list, Keaton Wade. You could go down the list and find guys who are formerly in the SEC who have been able to find better situations and are okay with it because they know that their talent travels, not the conference. And I think that's the difference. People have realized that talent travels. And but you let me know, what do you think, huh?
Yeah, I love that. And the log I put on the fire is simply this. somewhere along the path, Coach Nick Saban had a crystal ball and saw all this coming and said, let me pack it up. Because there was once upon a time that you could talk a kid into, and whether it was your sales pitch, the environment, or NIL off the books at the time, you could talk a guy into sitting on your team 1 or 2 years, even 3 years, and not touching the field. You know, LSU would have a running back get drafted every year after only playing 1 year, and there's 3 people behind them that's just as good. Same thing, the defensive backs at LSU. Same thing with defensive line at Alabama. You know, they would be 4 deep at a position with one guy being the starter and one guy getting some reps and the other 2 just waiting their turn. And that turn may come anywhere from 1 to 3 seasons later, and they would just sit there and wait because they would rather be on the bench in Alabama or the bench at Georgia with hope to come than to be starting at Memphis, to be starting at Tulsa, to be starting at a Colorado pre-prime. Well, then you bring in the transfer portal and you bring in NIL. Well, what the hell I'm sitting here for? when I could be doing something right now, when I could be getting developed right now, when I could be more, you know, just a tackling dummy right now, when I could be traveling to games and playing in games right now. And so when you add in that aspect on top of what you're saying about the talent level, we have historic blue bloods that we just refer to because they're historic greatness. But from here on out, all of these conferences going to have parity. Like, you're not going to have somebody just running away with it year after year after year, because they're going to look across from them and there's going to be people equal or greater in number, in depth, and in talent. And so by the time you get to that 12 in the CFP or some of these bigger bowl games, there's going to be talent across the board. There's not going to be, you know, oh man, that's just the Big 10. Oh, that's just the Big 12. We the SEC. Everybody has come up.
Ain't nobody scared, man. I'll tell you one thing. At Friday too. So at the end of the day, SEC still gonna be the SEC, and they still gonna play good football. They still gonna recruit well, right? But in Friday too, there was a lot less fear of Debo than there was in Friday 1. After Craig did what he had to do, wasn't nobody as scared of Debo as they were in Friday 1. So now that you're starting to see, Debo done lost a little bit of that luster. And going forward, now every year, there's going to be a team. You're not, and people wanted it so many times. Oh, we want the SEC. I'm from the middle of SEC country, and so are you. And you knew for a fact that they got the best of our guys.
Yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
where you're from, the SEC got in this area, which is arguably from the Southeast, from Mississippi back down to Florida, all up into the Carolinas. That's arguably the best football that you can find in a concentrated area outside of Texas and California. That's it.
Period.
We knew where they were going. 9 times out of 10, the best of the best is going to an SEC school, and that's no longer. Coach Prime had a lot to do with that. Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter was committed to Florida State, which for a long time people considered to be honorary SEC. Man, that's dead. Man, people know that you can go anywhere and get off, especially when you look across that roster and you see a guy who had less of an opportunity but still had the pedigree. You got to forget, and don't forget, guys, what's this new line? The linebacker, I love this kid too, from Memphis.
You just made me forget his name, but straight out of Memphis. Go, yeah, I'm with you.
Straight out of Memphis. Well, that kid was an SEC kid.
Yeah.
And people forget that. Is it Welch? Not French. Martavius French, ball player, and he can run. And that and now you have all of this SEC caliber talent all over. So now it's not quote unquote SEC caliber talent. It's, can you ball? All right, I got you tell me for you now. You tell me. We'll keep it at episode 1 for Prime on Prime.
Yeah.
What did you see in that show that didn't make the floor, that got left on the cutting room floor, that you felt like in that moment that you saw something around there that part of that story may not have been told?
Oh man, that's a great question and a good question, because the answer is not a lot. Because let me tell you
Ooh.
this, I sat there and watched it, right, and I'm there every day, and their camera is next to my camera, and we in the same places, and they showed me things that I had not seen, and I was there, So when you look at the quality of the lens and what they captured and the personalities, and forgive me because I watched a couple of episodes, and so I may be mixing one and two, but the things that they did for you to get to know Cameron Silman Craig, which I think might have been, what y'all gonna see when you watch episode 2, and the things that you get to see on how last year's season ended and how this season started, just from the leadership retreat and the players that were there and the conversations that they were had to start bringing the team together, because that's what cost us in year one. They're really taking you to some in-depth behind the scenes stuff where you have what's called character development. You're going to get to know, these players like you've never known them before and see how the season unfolds. One thing is the score from these games. That touchdown pass to Wester won the game against Baylor. Like, the outcome of the game, but you don't know conversations that were held at practice that week. You don't know schematic things that were done at halftime leading up to that could be shared now because the season is over, but couldn't be shared during the season. So you're gonna get a lot of things like that, man. And it gets better as it goes on with that character development and the backstories, and even some of the things like when you hear Coach Prime say, I had to learn from some mistakes I made. I did some things wrong that I had to flip my thinking on. So I love the way it was put together. I love how on this particular season, all the episodes have dropped on day one. And so, they're all under an hour, about that 50-minute mark. So it's something that you can knock out 2 or 3 of them, if not the whole series, and just see how it really gets down behind the scenes. So, because here's the short answer to your question, Dukes. You can be there. You remember me and you sat in Coach Bryant's office for damn near an hour?
Yeah.
Right outside the door, literally outside the door, at Officer Rowe's desk, Travis was standing there having a conversation with somebody, and we missed all that.
Oh, wow.
So you were up there all day, but there were things that happened on the 3rd floor in the cafeteria or right outside the door while you were in Coach's office that you like, damn, I was there. I ain't see none of that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
even when I sit there and watch it, I'm like, oh man, yeah, okay. I was on the other side of the wall. I didn't even know that happened right there. So I encourage everybody, if you want to see how the sausage is made, everybody's claim they like steak, but they don't want to see that cow get slaughtered. It really shows you how the deal gets done.
Man, that's all right. I like that. I think, man, and just to piggyback on what you said, man, it was so every time I went to Colorado, I saw something different. Every time.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter if I was with Coach Prime, if I was with you, if I was with Ray, if I was with Phillips, Box, didn't matter. I saw something different every time I spent time in Colorado. And that just goes to show you how much is really going on there and how much really goes into the product that you guys see on the field. We're talking about from the recruiting department. We're talking about from the actual schematics of everything. We're talking about the fatherhood and the brotherhood where you see people getting on folks and really showing them the way to be as a man off the field. So, yeah, I think that was a great answer. And you put it into great perspective for me going forward. Now, next time I go to Coach Prime office, I'm going to be like, man, Coach, I might got to see what's going on. I'll be right back.
Man, hey, you have to keep your head on the swivel up there, because as an internal content creator and capturer of these narratives is happening, it's like you'll sit somewhere and look around and be like, I need to be where nobody else is. There's too many people in here. Something else is happening somewhere. Like this, like I know I done sat here too long. Let me keep it moving because I'm missing something. And when they first announced the episode that they were dropping all together, shout out to the folks at Amazon and Smack who I got the pleasure of working with. one of the producers tagged me and they said, "Man, you absolutely stole the show." And I hadn't even seen my parts yet. Like you sit there and talk with them so long, you never know what they're gonna use or what gets on the cutting room floor. So I'm looking forward to getting deeper into it and seeing what all makes the final cut and what didn't make it. But I will tell you, someone in the chat already put it up that you think we got enough content out there, you think you see what's going on, but this shows you just a separate, different side of what is truly going on.
No, absolutely.
Dude, speaking of what's going on, go ahead.
No, I said it's on you.
Speaking of what's going on, let's talk about what ain't going on.
Yeah.
And you tell me, should we, if I had one of them little buttons where I flip the cover up and hit the panic button tonight? I have seen Indiana's coach, well-deserved, get an extension. I've seen coach in Arizona, well-deserved, get an extension. I'm seeing NFL coaches get fired, and everybody's wondering if Coach Prime is going to go to the NFL. But somewhere in the sweet spot of those two things, what I haven't seen is Coach Prime's extension. Should Buff Nation be concerned? You tell me.
I don't think so. I don't think Buff Nation should be concerned. We can reference that time that we did spend with Coach Prime, and I got to ask him some really good questions. And I'll say this. Coach Prime is looking forward to negotiate because he wants to be there. But one thing he did say, that he ain't going to miss God. And so something so that's got to be an act of God for him not to get an extension because it just don't make sense. So that's the only thing I can say. If Coach Prime don't get extended and a comparable extension of what we've seen, it probably higher than what we've seen. Like Kurt Signetti's deal is where I see the baseline for Coach Prime. And that's just me understanding the lay of the land, talking to different agents. That's the baseline. So going forward, Colorado has some work to do. And I think they're going to do it. Like when you see the relationship between him and AD Rick George, I just think that they know that there's a synergy there that couldn't be recreated. And why we want to try to fix something that ain't broken. So I think that there's no reason to panic. But I'll tell you this, and this Colorado, they can take this. Now, one thing about Coach Prime that I have learned over my dealings with him is he wants to be there, but it's gotta be right. 1,000%. It's gotta be right. So I'm just hopeful for Boulder that the Colorado powers that be can get it right. But it's got to be right. And he wants to be there, but it's got to be right. You tell me,
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of it, figuratively and literally. So I don't think Buff Nation needs to hit the panic button. I don't think they need to even take a step towards the panic button, let alone flip the little clear lid on it. But it might be kind of like when you're in a restaurant and you eyeball where the emergency exit is. You might want to look around the room and just get a lay of the land, because if some start moving without you out here, I want to be the first out the door, not last.
Now what you talking about?
So yeah, know where the exits are, but because I will say this to everything you just said, and I'll start with your last point first. You have a couple things in capitalism. Everybody wants to get the most they can for the least they can. Mm-hmm. Like that's just business. How do I get what I want and pay as little as I can for it? And then you have the hood philosophy of pocket watching. Well, okay, I want Dukes to do this, but I know Dukes got so much over here, maybe I shouldn't offer him everything I should offer him because he's doing good anyway. Mm-hmm. You stir all that together when it comes to Coach Prime's extension, and that could get you in a lot of trouble. Because I've seen coaches across this country get extensions well-deserved based on the number of games they won. Mm-hmm. And Coach Prime not only wins you games, he gets you a 50% increase in enrollment applications. And you have to pay to apply. So that's revenue. He gets you 300 and 400% increases in merchandise, depending on which game day or which week you're measuring it. He gets you on TV every week, the only college football program that had every single game televised nationally. He sells out your hotels, and you get to put a prime tax on the room during the fall, unlike the spring, where you can triple the cost and the rooms are still gone. The restaurants have lines out the door. I can go on and on and on, Dukes. So if you make an offer to him based on like the Indiana model, which I'm going to agree with you that that's the floor now, the market has been reset. Like it has to be above that. You also have to factor in all the other things Deion Sanders gets you. And so it can't be an insulting extension. So you can't have that space of let me go in here and offer something so I can get what I want for as little as I can. You may want to go in and offer something and already shoot you wad. You may want to just like, damn man, I ain't got time to negotiate with you. It's you dating Beyonce, like forget negotiating. Like I'm finna do something I've never done before. I'm all in. Baby, I'm sparing no expenses. I'm going to offer you things that not only we've never offered to coaches in this institution, we're going to offer things that no coach in America, has gotten before. And I think you have to have that mindset. And I think Rick George, excellent graphic on the screen, Big Dog Chico. I think Rick George has that kind of mindset. Rick George has, worked in Major League Baseball, worked in major athletics. He gets it. But you also have to realize it's time. It's time for something to start. Moving. Panic button? No, absolutely not. Concern? Absolutely not. Eyebrow raise? Yep. Eyebrow raise.
Time. Yeah, I agree. And just so I like to use. I always got a little analogy from my life. So when I go buy jewelry from the mall, and we know that's not the finest jewelry ever, but you get some quality stuff there. I just need to pass the diamond test, and I need to make sure I got 14 that I'm getting good grams per gold, good dollars per gram when it comes to buying gold. I go in there with my calculator every time. So you get that you got that little sticker that's on the back of them gold chains, and it's got this enormous price.
Sure.
And then you got the real price. And they always hit you with the enormous price, so you feel like you got something when they give you something that's already marked up 30% anyway. Well, that's the same thing. That's how I feel about this contract. You go in there and play around with Coach Prime, because what I do is when you hit me with that enormous price, I feel like you're insulting my intelligence. Because you see me walk in and I already got a nice watch. I already got they can see real diamonds a mile away. I already got the Cartiers on my face and I'm dressed nice. I know what I'm talking about. So why would you even play? And I know Lil Baby, a lot of people having this saying Lil Baby fell off. One of his hardest lines he ever said was, why would you play when you know I don't play that? And I think that's so apropos for my man Coach Prime, man. It's like they can't go in there and play. Because why would you play when you know he don't play that?
Yeah.
Let
me get a world example. I need Big Dog Chico help. Big Dog, I saw a comment in the chat from Dennis about people forget Rick George was the only AD smart enough. Put that one on the screen. And let me share this with Dennis and everybody else. Dennis says people forget Rick George was the only AD smart enough to reach out to Coach Prime. Seems like a no-brainer looking back. Dennis, you have to, as spot on as you are, you have to remember that it was Jackson State's lack of an extension on the table that prompted a Rick George to reach out to Coach Prime. Because here's what happens in college football when everybody around you is getting extended and everybody around you is getting their cake up with their weight up. When people see you not taking care of somebody, that puts a flag out there in the industry and maybe there's some opportunity here. And so, yes, shout out to Rick George for everything he did to get Coach Prime to Colorado. But the signal came from Jackson State when they didn't have an extension on the table And that was after 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons in conference and conference championships. So am I saying again, let me be clear. Panic button, no. Reaching for it, no. Eyebrow up. I'm like The Rock over here. Eyebrow up, baby. Eyebrow up. We got to get it done.
Yep. Okay, Uncle Neely, talk to me. You tell me about what do you see as far as the offensive line coaching hire, and not even just the names, but more so the type or who or the type of guy that's needed that you see Coach Prime and company zeroing in on at this point.
I appreciate that. I got to answer, but let me throw this because I love when the chat say some foolishness. Mm-hmm. Andre Walker said, Neely, I'm dating Beyonce. Let me go ahead and propose on the first date. He's like, I'm not playing around. Let me get down on one knee on the first date. That's what I'm talking about, Andre Walker. So, yeah. Dukes, when you talk about these coaches hiring, Coach Prime has always said, in the coaching industry, you get elevated or terminated. You move up or you move out. And you're not going to have somebody move out from working with him and he didn't see it coming or didn't know about it, which means before that move was made, he was already making moves to do what he had to do to secure that position. So the rumor mill will get out there churning and people will start texting and calling and recommending this name and people advocating for this. Man, before Phil Loho walked out the door, Coach Prime got a short list in his head of people he's already been talking to. And what you have to wait on is you got to wait on college football seasons to end because some of these people are on other staffs. You have to wait on even the NFL season to end because some of these people are in the league. I think everybody is very pleased with what we were able to do with our defense coordinator and our defensive line this year compared to last year. So the reason I use that as a juxtaposition is simply this, Dukes. This time last year, we didn't have a D-line coach. This time last year, we didn't have a defense coordinator. And by the time the process unfolded with college football winding down and NFL winding down, you get D. Lou, Warren Sapp, and Rob Livingston in the building before spring ball starts. So I think Coach Prime is going to be looking for somebody first and foremost that can connect with the players that are on this offensive line, this current line, and also mold them in how to dominate. And that has to be someone who is dominant themselves. And I think that any coaching vacancy within the organization, that's what he's going to take the steps to. But I would just tell people again, if you want to know about the future performance, look at the past performance. This ain't the time Coach Prime has had people in his organization elevate or terminate. And every time he replaces somebody, it gets better than the person before. Everybody was up and just panicked when my man, Coach Nick, went to Syracuse because he was doing great things with those edge rushers. And now look what Dancy did with them. Now Dancy's headed to Mississippi State. I guarantee you Coach Prime is going to find somebody just as capable because we all know everybody know him, but believe me, he knows some people too. And he know where to get recommendations from and find talented coaches. So I'm less of a panic about the coaching vacancies than I am the contract. It's like I'm not even raising an eyebrow with that because I know he's going to get it done. You tell me.
Man, you know what I just thought about? This may be going a little bit away from the question. Well, how dope is it to see Coach Prime's coaching tree start to develop?
Yeah.
We always talk about the saving tree.
I think that's perfect. I think that's perfectly aligned with the question.
Yeah, man. Like, we're starting to see a pipeline, right? You got guys going from NFL to college and guys who have been at HBCUs in the past and they're going to getting a Power 4 opportunity. And we're starting to see Coach Prime's coaching tree start to take form. When you look at a guy like Nick Williams, who was so instrumental in what Syracuse was able to do last year, and somebody who has experience from all over, and someone who's going to be a head coach one day. That Coach Prime coaching tree, Coach Dancy has a lot of the same things that Coach Williams had.
Yeah.
Load Hope was a really highly regarded guy.
Yeah.
When you start to see this coaching tree, I just think it's amazing. And I think that since we're using the phrase coaching tree, I think for people that want to get a heads up, or the main people who are asking about that vacancy, since we're talking about a tree that's developing, maybe you should kind of read the leaves. That makes sense.
My man Dukes, I love that one. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at this though. The chat can do the homework. Big Dog Chico can do the homework. Me and you can do the homework. We ain't got to do the homework right now. Just open your third eye. Just let's deal with this. Not only has Coach Prime not been coaching college football but 4 years, he's got 4 seasons under his belt. Well, I actually count that COVID season. I'm gonna give you 5 seasons under his belt. In 5 seasons, his coaching tree has produced 3 head coaches. It ain't been for 5 seasons. Now, one of them we can put a question mark by it, the COVID season, that spring ball. It's only been 4 what I would call traditional football seasons, and he got 3 head coaches from his coaching tree. He's got staff from strength and conditioning that's moved up to the NFL, and that was Jackson State and in Colorado. He's got staff that's moved to quote-unquote more blue blood programs and strength and conditioning, and also in position, rooms. I say all that to say, Dukes, and to the chat and to anybody watching this later, who wouldn't want to come work for him? Do you know how bright how bright your current situation will be? And then how open up to brightness your future will be when you do what you do? It's like Coach Sapp said, man, don't pick your job, pick your boss. You got to be real careful about who you work for. I'm gonna say it again and give Warren Sapp all the credit. He dropped it on Wednesday with Warren, and even Coach Prime loved it. He said, look, I'm successful here because I didn't pick my job. I picked my boss. I know who I work for. I know what they're about. I know what they're capable of. We're on the same page. Do you know how many people with gold jackets, and you can take that as a hint if you want to, you know how many people with gold jackets, with NFL pedigree, playing or coaching, you know how many people in prime collegiate programs want to come be a part of this system with him and what's taking place? Filling a vacancy, that ain't the problem. That ain't the challenge. Narrowing it down, that's the challenge. Big Dog Chico and Dukes, y'all from the South with me, y'all been hungry and broke, and your pocket tell you where you're gonna eat. Yeah. You also been hungry and had money falling out every pocket you own, and you riding around like, man, what I'm gonna get tonight? Like, what I'm gonna get tonight? Like when it comes to hiring folks, he in that situation, man. And pop quiz, and I'm gonna get off of it, Dukes.
All right.
Name me historic the last 20 years, the top tier of the blue blood football programs is who?
Bama. All right, Bama. LSU.
There it is, right there. You nailed it on the first one, Bama.
Yeah.
You realize last year the D-line coach was from Alabama.
Wow.
The next year, the D-line coach is 2 first-rounders. Like, come on, dog. Like, it gets better, not worse.
Yeah. It does. I mean, you like, I'll never forget one of those first conversations I had with Coach Prime. He said, man, you ain't say nothing yet. He said, watch this. He said, nah, dog, watch this. And this is when, I'm rolling. I hadn't done the sit down with him. I hadn't done the sit down with Kirby Smart, but I'm rolling at the time. Yeah. He said, dudes, listen. Watch this. I see you over there. I see you doing your thing. Watch this. I said, all right, coach. And man, I'm glad I watched. And I got to see it up close and personal. And so now I have a whole different viewpoint. It's one of those things you don't worry about. Like right now, me being a Falcons fan, shout out to the Falcons. See, I got that flag. That's the only thing I got at the game the other day.
Dirty Birds.
Man, yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Shout out to the Falcons. But, there's all this talk about, the the worry about Raheem Morris and worrying about can Jimmy Lake do the job as defensive coordinator, and worry. This is worry because you want to know, can they perform, the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
The coaching vacancy at Colorado ain't worried. It's intrigue. You just want to know because you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
You're not worried about it because how it's going to affect recruiting, because you watch how they were able to recruit without having guys in place last year, without a defensive coordinator in place, without a defensive line coach in place. So now I think that even when we talked about panic, the only thing that we talked about today that should have even evoked the word panic was the contract. That's it. Because as far as these vacancies, there ain't no panic. That's just intrigue. We just like to see. No, Coach Prime give us so much access. We just want to see what's coming next. It's almost like one season ended and you trying to figure out how the next season starts. That's all that is.
Yeah. And let me tell you this, man. You as a content creator, journalist, myself in the same space, Chico, Well Off, Reach the People, you name it, as well as the offensive coaches, and in this rare instance, the defensive coaches, all the way up to the head coach, we all get to say one thing. Man, we covered or coached a Heisman Trophy winner.
Man.
Now, Neely, what that mean? Where you going with that? Let me tell you where I'm going with that. You got Jordan Seaton in the offensive line room, who, let me tell you, is going to play on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You have others on the D-line and the secondary, et cetera, et cetera. When position coaches build out their resumes, they don't just build it out from a wins and losses of the team. That's more so the head coach's resume. They build it out from what has happened to the players they coached. I coached this many guys, this many years, got this many guys to the league. That's their and then statistically stuff like, hey, so even though I was coaching with a team without their best record, my defense only allowed this many yards. If I was the running back coach, my running backs put up this many yards. You deal with stats like that. Who wouldn't want to come and coach the players that you currently have? Because in your coaching window with them, should you coach here 2 or 3 years, your resume is going to include having put somebody in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see no panic button, man.
No,
Dukes,
I agree.
I think we got time for one more, and I got one for you.
Okay.
I happen to be at the Alamo Bowl, and I can tell you whatever happened during that game was not because Shedeur Sanders was not focused the night before the game. Shedeur Sanders was in his playbook, in his film, spent time with his family. His sister was in town and his new nephew. He was surrounded by family and football. Mm-hmm. You tell me, what the hell is wrong with Jason Whitlock to assert anything other than the truth when it comes to Colorado and what happened in that bowl game?
Man, so Jason Whitlock has a long name. So I don't know if you know back in the day, Jason Whitlock's father owned a bar, multiple businesses, and so he always wanted to give him really, really like names that matched him, and they have names that are a little bit different. Jason Whitlock's middle name has 2 middle names: Jason D-Lou Jeannot Whitlock. Do you not? So that man is delusional. Reason being, I knew I couldn't trust nothing that man said out his mouth when he said that he said, "Hey man, I ain't looking at Joy Taylor because I know that man might as well got the mirror out and I know what I would do." Like, boy, is you crazy? Huh? And that man delusional, man. It don't matter what the truth is. Peanut butter skin, man. Huh? That man said peanut butter. I'd never heard peanut butter cans so many times in one day than I heard yesterday. And I usually do not listen to I usually listen to clips that go viral. I had to do my homework yesterday to make sure this man said that. So when I heard that about the assumptions being made if somebody like that would assume that he was like, yeah, man, you know, I just stayed away because I know myself. I'd have got her. Like, what you think he gonna do about stuff that he think he know about on the football? You know what I mean? Like, he thinks he knows. He makes his own truths and validates them with his, and he's the source to validate them. He makes his own story and makes him the source. Nobody said a word about Jason Whitlock in their lawsuit or nothing. Nobody was thinking about Jason Whitlock. That man said, yeah, man, you know, I was going to take it down through there, but you know, I'm a Christian. Like, man, are you serious? Yeah, man. So anything that he says, you got to take not with a grain of salt. You almost got to take it with a shot of Jack. Because at the end of the day, you don't take that with no grain of salt. You take that with a shot of Jack. You're going to need it in order to try to be on his level. That man was sober drunk. Sober drunk. Geeked up sober. I could go on for hours, man. Like, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. A guy just gave me, man, one of my buddies, Nathan Proctor, just gave me a real good Bible verse about not judging people, and then it's bad to judge people, and then go back and do the same thing. That's like a double whammy. I get that. But for somebody who seeks out to attack people, especially attack people that have the same skin, I don't know what he would say our skin color is. I guess he only like peanut butter, but you know, for somebody who has the same skin that we have in this America, I get it. The DEI is going away. That's fine. You've aligned yourself with who you want to align yourself with. But this is not ideology. These are hate attacks that he spews out on different people at times. So when somebody like that is so crazy, because a lot of people call him Uncle Ruckus. I call him Clayton Bigsby. Remember Clayton Bigsby from Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, he was blind.
Yeah, he blind. I mean, they said Clayton Bigsby. I ain't even gonna say what they said. Y'all got to go back and watch that one. But that's kind of how I take what he says. So when he talked about two, I said, you know what? Whatever. Because you know for a fact that if somebody would have saw Shedeur Sanders out, I've been to San Antonio multiple times. It ain't nowhere you finna go hide at out there. Not no Shedeur Sanders. Not in nowhere that's popping. You're not finna the things that he thinks that he was doing. You're not doing in San Antonio. Period. So for him to interject himself into that, the same way he interjected himself into the Joy Taylor conversation as somebody who basically turned her down, I take that with the same grain of salt or shot of Jack on both ways. You got to consider the source.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I don't think he's met a lie he won't tell. Like I don't think he has a limit. I don't think he has a boundary. I don't think he has a border. I think he has just a limitless horizon of lines that he will cross when it comes to try to make himself be important or an expert in something. Hey, and worse than not shooting at Joy because he know himself, he framed it like, I did to help out, because I know she couldn't say no. So, it wasn't about me. I can get some cat anyway. I ain't want to put her in that position, because ain't no way she gonna turn me down.
Right.
And the lies that he tells, man, like you talk about San Antonio or anywhere in America, particularly with a bowl event taking on, everybody got a damn cell phone. If Shedeur is out kicking it, we would have seen it that night. We would have seen it before kickoff that next day. But again, this dude, I had to catch myself because I almost said brother. But this dude, man, lies for clout, lies for clicks. And I would say this, last time we had a conversation about him, I didn't even want to touch it because I don't even like giving him any additional name ID or anything. But I wanted to this time, Dukes, and I tell you why. And I hope y'all have noticed this as well. Since walking off that field at the Alamo Bowl to literally right now, there has been a concerted media effort to drive down the draft value of Shedeur Sanders. Now you see all these people who got stuff to say. I mean, I've seen people say second round, because what they're trying to do is create doubt amongst general managers and player personnel people. They're trying to make people second guess themselves. And it's all born out of not only just wanting clicks on their platform, but it's born out of this hate for anything with the Sanders name on it. They would love to see him not in the top 10 or to go second or third, like a quote unquote traditional quarterback of his skill level, and he hasn't done things to impress me, et cetera, et cetera. You weren't hearing that in August and September. You're hearing it now when the postseason, as we're getting ready toward draft and draft value. And I say to that, a lie unchallenged can so easily become the truth that now, look, you got to push back. I'm with Dukes, man. I got to say something to this clown, because they did it they tried to do it with Shiloh, with his issues with that guy at the school in the lawsuit or something. They try to do it on his tackling. Like they're not doing it to Will Shepard or Wester. They're not doing it to Rock on all. They're doing it to the two people who last name Sanders. Why all of a sudden is there such an interest with a negative slant in what these guys can or can't do? Is hate.
Yeah, man. I mean, it and like I said, it's one of those things where you just got to consider the source. But let's take it further than consider the source. Consider the subject. It ain't just the source. When it comes to those Sanders boys, you got to consider the subject, and you'll get your answers in a nutshell.
Like that. I like that.
Sir.
I like that. Dukes, man, this been I don't know how the chat feel. I don't know how you feel, but it's been a damn good episode of You Tell Me. Like, I have been, I have learned. I feel like I have grown. It's been a great conversation. Looking forward to it again weekly. Y'all know what it catches. We'll be back next Monday, our regular day and time, and I'll be back in Boulder at that time as well. So we'll have some updates from the team meeting. The strength and conditioning starts out. Got to tell y'all this, Dukes. They don't want to miss this. Doing a special episode of Prime Parents tomorrow about this time, and we got Travis Hunter's mom as the special guest. So we're gonna have some good conversation from a Heisman winning mama. And y'all know always y'all want to talk about, y'all want to get into it. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get knee deep, and we're gonna find out some stuff from her perspective. It's gonna be a great conversation of Prime Parents live tomorrow night with Travis Hunter mom. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. Like we always do on You Tell Me, Dukes. You stay gonna stay with the final word. It is on you, DukesTheScoop. Take us out of here.
Man, you know what? So going this year, I thought about getting a year older, and I got some people that called me and they said, "Oh man, you're getting old." And then I heard one of the best things I ever heard, man. Anytime somebody talk about you getting old, especially when you from places like me and you, and we just outliving some dummies. That's all. Like, now, not to say that anybody that went before us, right, was a dummy, but for the ones that checked out of here early because of the choices that they made, it's a blessing for us to be our age, because sometimes we made those choices too. So we just gotta take 2025 with a year with the air of gratitude that we outliving some of our dumb decisions.
Dukes, I love when you get the last word, but I gotta throw something on that one. It's something I heard a long time ago. A wise man told me this. I was making excuses about something, and he said, "Listen to me, Neely, and listen well. You're born looking like your parents. You end up looking like your decisions."
Woo! Slam dunk. First down.
You're born looking like your parents. You end up looking like your decisions.
Man, that's all right there, man.
And we out.
We out, man.
Like,
that's hard.
I'm trying to understand, dude. What the hell is going on? So that's the name of this.
It'll look like you
tell me.
I'm going to the phone on that one.
Shout out to the chat. Chat is still dropping knowledge.
You
They're still kicking and going back and forth amongst themselves. I love when the chat engages themselves. Don't forget tomorrow, special episode of Prime Parent. Got Travis Hunter mom coming on. Do not forget to subscribe to Dukes the Scoop channel, the Big Dog Chico, and the Pregame Network. Subscribe to all three. Hit the like button on all three. Turn the notification bell on all three. You never know when we're going to pop up with a special episode or something. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We out.